Welcome back. I am Eric Arnold. I am your host for this evening's episode of the Politics Barn. This is my barn. This is where I talk about politics. I am an expert. I have a degree in poli-sci and history from the Ohio State University. I was an observer of politics and national affairs for the past 30 years. I figure that makes me as much of an expert as anybody. So here we are in the swingiest of all swing states, Pennsylvania. Whoever wins Pennsylvania is going to win the whole thing. That's pretty much been my premise from the beginning. So tonight, what are we going to talk about? In the last episode, I told you why I already have voted for Donald Trump. So this evening, we're going to talk about the state of the race. Give you a little heads up here. It's good news. It's good news. There's no way to hide it. There's no way to sugarcoat it. There's no way to be afraid of it. Trump is in good shape right now. And over the next 45 minutes, we're going to tell you why. Now, Big Rick, let me tell you right up front, these videos run 40 to 50 minutes. They just do. Sorry, but I got a lot of knowledge and I need to tell it to you. So if you need to take a nap in between and pick up where you left off, or there are ways that you can speed up the video so I talk faster, you can do any of that. But it is what it is. So we'll try to keep it under 50. But let's get going. Made a list here to try to, jog my memory of what we're talking about here, but there was just a whole bunch of data that came out today. Frankly, the race has just been trending in Trump's direction for weeks. Just every day, he is winning the cycle, winning the cycle, winning the cycle. And Harris is on her back feet and just struggling to... She's got damn near an impossible task, as I discussed last episode. She's relatively unlikable. She's not a very good liar or politician. And she's trying to sell something that she doesn't believe in. In other words, if she was just straight out selling communism, at least she believes in that. It's like Bernie Sanders. So she might be able to almost get you to believe it, but she doesn't want to come right out and say, hey, I got some communist ideas here. Wouldn't that be awesome? Because she knows people don't like communism. So she's trying to couch it and hide it and pretend that the border really has been closed for the past 3 years when everybody knows different. So she's got a really tough, if not impossible task. Well, it's catching up to her. Today, polls, the betting markets. The betting markets, the one I follow is called Polymarket. You can look at any number of them out there. Before I came out here to the barn, Trump was up around 63%, meaning they think he has a 63% chance of winning. I would bet that because I think you're getting value there. I think he's got a much better chance than 63 at this point. And again, I don't want to, I've been wrong damn near every cycle since probably 2008, when it was obvious that Obama was going to win no matter what. That might be the last one I got right. I thought Romney was going to win in 2012, wrong. I thought Hillary would win in 16, wrong. I thought Trump would win last time around, wrong. So, take it all with a grain of salt. But I don't know how you look at the state any other way and say, Trump's winning. He's winning. He absolutely is. Here are some of these polls. I'm just going to pull up some here. Now this is here. Well, nationally, what came out today was the Wall Street Journal. Nationally has him up 3. Now remember, Trump has never won the popular vote in any of his elections. Even the one where he beat Hillary, he lost the popular vote by 2 points, and he still won because of the Electoral College. If he would win the national vote, he's in. I mean, there's just no way the Democrats would be able to win. The math wouldn't work for them. So Wall Street Journal having him up 3 nationally, that's a huge deal. CNBC, another, I would argue, not necessarily a right-wing outfit, they had him up 2 nationally today. Now, there was some other outfit called TIP, and I forget what that stands for. They had Harris up by a couple, which I was like, well, can't have everything. Atlas, a polling outfit that really polls internationally, and they had a good record in 20. They had, from a few days, if not a week ago, had Trump up nationally, 3. So these polls now even showing Trump with a national lead. Gallup, we made a big deal about that in a subsequent episode. That must have been about 4 to 6 weeks ago. The Gallup, basically, they don't say who you prefer. They ask the electorate, how do you identify? And I went through the drill about my father was a registered Democrat. He was anything but. So he would answer that, I identify as a Republican. That 3% more people identified as a Republican than a Democrat, and historically over the last 8-10 cycles of presidential elections, that was almost exact in predicting the national outcome. In other words, 3% Gallup, 3% Trump is going to win the national vote by. And that's going to be, well, it'll basically be an electoral college landslide. That means he'll sweep all the swing states, may challenge in some of the blue states like Virginia, New Hampshire, that sort. But it basically would be over Tuesday night, and you can go to bed and not worry that this giant truckload of ballots is going to show up again at 3 a.m. and take the election from you. The Trump's margins will be unassailable on election night should he win the national vote by 3%. So these are all things you can't, the data is the data. This is what they're putting out there. Remember, these polls have always skewed towards the Democrats. So you're even looking at that going, God, there might be another point or two in our favor that they're hiding. This is wonderful. My goodness, are they lying to us? Is this a trick? Is this a swerve? It's so late in the game. I don't know there are any swerves to be had here. I mean, this is probably where, I wouldn't be surprised in the next 24 to 48 hours, you see an NBC News, an ABC, a Washington Post, one of the usual suspects come out and show Harris up 6, something to try to slow the narrative, to try to, of course they'll be lying, of course they will. And then they'll probably issue another poll in 10 days, right before election night, basically then showing Trump much, much closer. The point being they're trying to discourage you from voting, giving money, volunteering. It would not surprise me at all if you see that, because right now, everybody sees it. There's no way to hide it. Trump's winning. Trump is winning. That's a cat. There's a cat right here. Here, watch. He ran. He doesn't want to be on TV, apparently. Okay, back to this. Now, what other elements of data do I have that supports my hypothesis that Trump is winning? Just these crummy polls, which really are just guesswork. Early voting. These are things, anymore now, these elections unfold in slow motion. For example, in 1980, if you go back and you pull the old John Chancellor tape on NBC News, where they come on there at 7:30 or 8 o'clock to talk about the election, they're somewhat in the dark about what's about to happen because everybody voted on election day. Well, now we have election month, of course, which, we can debate yes or no. Is this a good thing? It is what it is. So these are the rules. So right now the thing unfolds in slow motion, and we all get to watch it. And we're watching it, and right now we're watching Trump win. Politics 101. Democrats vote early and by mail. Republicans vote on election day. Democrats generally win, especially if Republicans simply don't vote early or by mail. If it's just the Democrats are the only ones that are voting by mail and by early, then they're going to win. The Republicans have to somewhat match their numbers prior to election day. Now you're saying, what does it matter? In other words, if I vote, I vote. If I vote early, it counts. If I vote at 7:30 or 7:59 on election night, that still counts. What a vote is a vote. Well, we explained in the previous episode about leakage. Leakage, that's the official term I learned. That's when a Republican intends to vote, like a boxcar Bill. He intends to vote, and he just doesn't, because who knows? He registered wrong, he's at the wrong address, he moved and didn't change his registration, it rained, his mother got sick, a kid got sick, he got sent out of town for work, anything like this. Anything where Boxcar Bill just goes, it's just my vote, it doesn't really count. 1% to 2%, I would argue it's 2%. 2% of the game day voting for the Republicans does not show up. They just don't. Whether they wanted to or didn't want to, they don't show. Democrats don't have that issue. They are putting their votes in the bank, putting them in. They don't have leakage. So Republicans have to start voting early. They have to start voting. Either you walk up to whatever voting place they have and you stand in line and you vote there with the little machine and you do it before election day, or you do it as in here in Pennsylvania, you get the paper ballot and you fill it out and you either put it in the mailbox or you walk it to a drop box and put it in there, or you walk it personally to the county building like I did and you give it to the little woman there behind the counter and say, here you go, I'm voting. That's how you do it. So we got to do that. And guess what we are? We are. Our numbers this cycle dwarf what we did in the previous two cycles. Here in Pennsylvania, the numbers that the Republican Party in 2020, as a percentage of the early vote, Republicans had 23.7%. In other words, I don't know what the total was, in the millions. Well, only 23.7% of those were Republican votes. In 22, that number dropped to about 20%. And we got killed here in Pennsylvania. We got drubbed, absolutely drubbed. We had a competitive Senate race with a senator who had just suffered a stroke and couldn't speak 3 words coherently, and that guy won easily. Well, largely because we didn't show up. We didn't participate. Republicans did not vote by mail, and not enough of us showed up on election day. Well, here, in this cycle, and I know we're in a blind spot here, 24, as of right now, it's 30%. 30% of the early vote is Republican. Furthermore, the areas that are, and the total is much less. The total is much less than it was in the ridiculous one-off COVID 2020, which is just a complete aberration. The number of mail ballots is down, and it's down in the blue areas. I checked that. Philadelphia. I forget the exact numbers. Doesn't matter, you wouldn't remember them anyway. Trust me when I say this, the numbers are way down in the blue areas, way down. That means they're not voting. They're not voting. Now you're saying to yourself, if you're following along trying to punch holes in my thesis, and that's fine, that's good. That means you're thinking, that means you're on the ball. Well, what does that mean? One, how do we know? It's that Republican vote. That doesn't mean they're voting Republican. It just means they're registered Republican. That's true. Polls tell us pretty much consistently leading up to this election. If you read the polls, it'll say, how are you registered? And however you're registered, there's probably a 90% chance that's the way you're voting. Republicans are voting for Republicans. Democrats are voting for Democrats. That's how it is. Now, the Harris campaign, they want you to think that they've got some kind of magic deal here where they're going to get all these Nikki Haley, disaffected country club Republicans, particularly women, to switch, that all these Republicans that are voting early, that they're all actually secret Harris voters. Possible. I don't think it's likely. Possible. I think it's just more likely it is what it is. That the Republicans are more energized and we're the ones that are coming out right now to vote. Now, a couple other things. Well, doesn't that mean, you just said you voted by mail. You were going to vote on election day. You worked the polls. You're going to be there. Your vote won't be on election day. Well, that's true. That's true. But for the most part, the Democrats like to vote early. They do not like to vote on election day. Republicans love to vote on election day for God knows what reason. So I just think it's more likely than not that there's still going to be a sizable advantage for the Republicans on election day. The good news is they just won't have that much ground to make up. In 22, in the midterms here in Pennsylvania, it didn't even matter if we turned out every last Republican under every last rock. The lead was too big. We were never going to catch him. In this cycle, we don't really even have to have that big of a turnout to catch and pass these people. Some numbers I saw. Again, back to the numbers. It's all about the numbers, right? We lost in Pennsylvania. And remember, my thesis, whoever wins Pennsylvania is going to win the whole thing. We lost here in PA by 80,000 votes. That's it. 80,000 damn votes. Not many. About 1%, maybe even less. The difference between early Democrat votes and early Republican votes in 20 was about 1.1 million. 1.1 million. The difference this cycle, and this is based on some projections that I did on the back of a napkin, plus I saw somebody else on the internet making their guess, and it's on the internet, so it must be true. I believe the difference this cycle is going to be 500,000. That's 600,000 votes probably in our favor. Right there, that tells me we're going to win. We are going to win. That's what I think. Here, I'll give you one more piece of information here, just because I did it, and why not tell you? Here's the number in my little precinct where I count the votes. And it's a heavy Trump precinct. So in 2020, there were 631 votes for Trump and 295 for Biden. So that was a difference of 336 votes. Now I figure we got to add at least 20 to that to help do our part to make up this 80 grand. Now, I checked the early voting here in the precinct, and believe me, it wasn't easy to do this, but I've got the tools to do it, so I figured it out. Roughly speaking, in 20, the numbers were 118 Biden votes early, well, Democrat votes. You don't know how they, remember, I could see that you voted early. I don't know how you voted. We can make a reasonable assumption. Democrats vote for Democrats. Republicans vote for Republicans. So 118 Democrats, only 59 Republicans in a heavily Republican precinct. You know, if you do the numbers on that, Trump carried this, our precinct by 60, he had 68% of the vote. Early votes were 2-1 Democrat in 20. So we had a huge number to make up, and we made it up anyway because we love Donald Trump here. Now this cycle, they've got 83 early votes. Oh, that's wrong. That's wrong. 81. We've got 63. So the Democrats are not coming out. You know, in other words, they're not registering as many times to vote by mail. We are. We even added a few. Now, one of them is me. Another one's a friend of mine that he's just not going to be able to make it on election day. Well, I made sure that we got his vote in. So we are adding some people. They dropped off significantly. That's not much ground to make up. I'm kind of feeling okay. We're going to make our 20. That we are going to widen the margin of victory here in my little precinct, my little town, by at least 20. Doing our part to make up this 80 grand. I read an article here. It was in The Nation. I'm branching out as I think that the Democrats are failing and flailing and what have you. And reading some leftist publications just to see, you know, am I seeing, how confident are these people? You know, am I seeing something wrong? Are they sitting there going, no problem, man, we got this? Well, they're not doing that. They're feeling very sad. And there was a fella there that, you know, he was talking about his left-wing efforts to find Democrat votes in the center of Pennsylvania. Good luck with that. And he was saying, well, yeah, we got a bunch of them, and I feel pretty good about it. And I thought, well, you know, maybe. See, where I thought he's doing is he's going to those purple areas. He's going there, and he's probably finding a good bit of Democrats. I mean, there are pockets of purple throughout the state, and that's where he's going to find Democrats. He's trying to get Democrat people to the polls. That's politics 101. What he's not doing, and he couldn't speak intelligibly about that, he's not going into the red areas. And the red areas are as red as it gets. I mean, I used to marvel at Philadelphia how they could be so homogeneous, how they would all vote for just one candidate. It's like, how do you guys all think with the same brain? Well, anymore out here in Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania's often been called with like New Jersey on the coast and Alabama in between. Well, out here in the Alabama section, it's getting like that, you know, where you can't find a Democrat in some areas. So the Trump areas are going to run up huge numbers for Donald Trump. And I don't know they're going to make it up. The numbers are depressed in the cities. Philadelphia is way down. What does that tell you? There's something to this about the inner city people identifying with Trump. It's not all bullshit. I saw more signs in inner city Reading, and you can go through the national news and type in poor cities, and somewhere in some article, Reading, Pennsylvania is going to pop up. I saw more signs for Trump in the city of Reading than I've ever seen for any Republican candidate. They like him. There are some inner city people that like Trump. You would never see a sign like that in Reading for Mitt Romney or John McCain. Are you kidding me? Jeb Bush. No, Trump is a man of the people. And that's why he is doing historically well for a Republican candidate in these cities. So I feel pretty comfortable here. Well, a couple other things here. Even in the state of Pennsylvania, the polls are turning totally in our favor. Emerson, that's an outfit that was very accurate in the 20 cycle. They have Trump up 1. Franklin and Marshall, which is somewhere to the left of Mao Zedong, which has never been anywhere but wrong in the Democrats' favor when measuring Donald Trump, have never even been close. They had Trump up by 1 today. That's never happened. I don't know Franklin and Marshall has ever had a Republican candidate winning in the state of Pennsylvania. Probably the last one was probably Nixon in 1972. So it's just, you can't be anything but enthused. Now, one thing I didn't even put up here, and I screwed up, is one thing I want to make mention of here is this really interesting dynamic which has now crystallized in this race. Every last politician who's been in power, pretty much going back to 1988, they are for Harris. They are for Obama. They are for the current regime. Whereas the rebels, Luke Skywalker and Han Solo, that's Donald Trump. That's Robert Kennedy Jr. We're the rebels. Those guys, and it's total and complete. Even the Republicans have thrown in with the regime, the deep state. It's really remarkable that supposed Republicans, guys that have actually run for president on the Republican ticket, like Mitt Romney and Jeb Bush, guys that have been president, like George Bush. Now, George Bush is just kind of sitting back, not really saying anything, which says everything you need to know. You're a former president. Look at all those former presidents the Democrats have running around. They don't seem too shy about selling their candidate. You're back there in the corner going, do. That means that means what it means. It means that he doesn't support Donald Trump, which is fine. We don't want your support. We don't. You throw in with those guys too. It makes our case stronger. The Cheneys throwing in with the Democrats, I can't think of anybody that's been more wrong about things than some of these forever war Republicans, like the Cheneys, John Bolton, all these asshole generals. That was their big reveal, I guess, today. What? That Trump's Hitler. It's like, wait a minute, you've used this. In fact, you've used this the entire cycle. And now you're saying it again because what? Some aggrieved guy who worked with Trump, some deep state general asshole, is lying, saying Trump likes Hitler. Bullshit. 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 And no one gives a shit what these deep state assholes say anyway. No one's listening to you fucks anymore. They're not. It's offensive as hell. Not such, that I feel sorry for Donald Trump. He's a big boy and he can take care of himself. But it's offensive to us in that, yeah, we're stupid enough that we would follow a guy who's Hitler. Yep, that's how dumb we are. Well, we're not dumb and we know you're lying. He's not Hitler. So shut the hell up. And we're tired of you people shooting at our candidate. So shut the hell up. But they won't because that's their whole MO. Here I got listed way down here. I got Al Smith. Who's Al Smith? Al Smith ran for president on the Democrat ticket in 1928. I bet like 3% of you knew that. he created some dinner in New York City where I guess the benefits of the dinner go to support Catholic charities or something. And it's got to be this kind of like traditional thing of an election. It's a little strange in that you spend months bashing each other, and then like 2 or 3 weeks before the actual election, you go to these dinners and you tell jokes about each other. It's a little weird, a little weird. So Donald Trump, in the spirit of tradition, goes to the dinner with all these assholes that are trying to cage him until he dies, or kill him. You know, that they would be perfectly happy to see him dead. So he goes to the dinner, and just because that's Donald Trump, he's got no fear. He's got guts. Harris wouldn't go. She couldn't look him in the eye. Either she's got guilt and is embarrassed to be standing there trying to tell jokes to the guy she wants dead, or she just knows that would wreck the whole narrative, and it's probably that. It's like, I can't very well call this guy Hitler and then sit there and make jokes about him right there on the dais when he's sitting right next to me. It's like, look, there's Hitler. This is Hitler. Hey, this is my buddy Hitler I'm telling jokes about. That wouldn't work. So she didn't show up to this dinner, and she looked like a fool. She looked like a goddamn fool. Your Hitler narrative isn't working. And that's all they have. You know, I look at some of these Democrat wise men like Axelrod and James Carville, and they're pushing it too. And these two guys are way too smart and don't believe for one millisecond that Trump is Hitler. They don't believe that. They are simply lying to push a point of view to try to trick you into voting for their team. It's disgusting, but that's what they do. They don't care about ethics. All they want to do is win. All you gotta do is listen to James Carville talk. I think that's the name of like one of his books or seminars or something. Winning is everything. He said as far as in one of his recent interviews, well, I don't really feel like all that fair right now. You know, I don't feel like being fair because, you know, we got, this is right there with the Germans and the Japanese. We got to slit some throats. No, I'm not really talking about slitting throats. I'm just talking, you know, sort of kind of like slitting throats. It's like they shot at my guy twice. Shut the hell up, Carville. But he won't, because I don't know if he's stupid. He's not stupid enough to be pushing this line on his own. He's been told to do it, and being the good soldier that he is, he's doing it. It's reprehensible, James. It's beneath you, James. And you know it ain't working, James. So, you know, enjoy your time in the wilderness out of power. Nobody's going to arrest you. He's running around with that one. You know, unlike Peter Navarro and Steve Bannon, actual Trump people have been in jail, real jail, by the Democrats. Grandmothers praying outside of abortion clinics, put in jail by the Democrats. Nobody's going to arrest you, James. You can just shut up. I don't know anyone's listening to you anyway. Oh, gosh. Time goes faster, Big Rick. He's probably asleep. Oh, Emhoff. Now, almost certainly, definitely a woman beater. Why did only 17 fucking people, sorry for the profanity there, but why did only 17 people watch my episode about Emhoff being a woman beater? How is that not important? Daily Mail reported that Emhoff smacked his ex-girlfriend, hit her hard enough that she spun around. Bang! Spun her around. Now, the original report was hearsay testimony by friends. The woman who got smacked, this would have happened in 2012, before he then moved on to Kamala and married her. So it's not like this is 100 years ago. They call her Jane. She does not want to be named. She's anonymous. She gave no comment in the original article. Today, she came out and did give comment and said, yup, it happened 100% the way it's been reported. That's what happened. Furthermore, she said, I am not some kind of plant. I am not a Republican. Here is a receipt from the Federal Elections Commission showing that my husband and I guess she got married subsequently to someone who doesn't beat her probably, have given over $10,000 to the Biden Victory Fund. So she, doing her good citizenship, I guess, is just like, you know, the guy that's about to become the first husband, possibly, the guy that will share spaces with the most powerful person in the world without any protection, without any buffers, the person that will have intimate access to the most powerful person in the world, both physically and mentally. He's a violent asshole who beats women. Maybe that's important for America to know. Now, I know you don't know anything about this because the media has totally covered it up. Emhoff beats women. 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 Remember that. If you remember nothing else from this episode, Emhoff beats women. I want to hear him deny it. He's never had to actually say the words, oh, I didn't do that. Not that it's hard for him to do that. I mean, gee, you know, he beats women, lying about beating women. That's certainly not a bridge too far for those kind of people. What a disgusting, disgusting person that is. Oh my goodness, poor Kamala. You know, I don't really feel that sorry for her, but I do a little bit. It's like, your husband's awful. I mean, do you know that, or are you just being tricked into it and you can't get out of it now? And, oh man. So that is important. That's important. I don't know that's hurting Harris at the moment because, like I said, it's been totally covered up. But that is not helpful to her. So the more people know about that, you know, for example, my wife doesn't know about that. She's a Democrat, but I don't think she has a whole lot of love for men that beat their women. You know, I don't think that'd be something she'd go, yeah, I can look past that. I don't really care. She would care. She's still going to vote for Harris, but, you know, it might give her half a second of pause that she might just go, well, is that true? I don't think so. I'm going to vote for Harris anyway. Just that much doubt. That's all you're going to get out of most Democrats anyway, but all right, what's next? Big point here is if we haven't had enough good news. All these vulnerable Democrats running for Senate. This is just one of these coincidental cycles where it just seems like a lot of incumbent Democrats in purplish, if not purplish reddish states are up for re-election this year. And they're in trouble. You know Harris is floundering because these guys are running away from her. We had an episode here in Pennsylvania. Harris had an event. You know, there's these events where you're seeing Obama and you're seeing Clinton there with her and you know, any other of the cavalcade of scumbags. As I said, you know, do you think the country's been run well over the last 30, 40 years? I don't, and I don't think a lot of Americans do. It's been run terribly by scumbag, incompetent, asshole elites. And they're all lined up on the Democrat side, all of them. The Bushes, the Romneys, the Cheneys, John Bolton, all these assholes are all lined up over there with the Democrats. And over here is the rest of us, led by, you know, Donald Trump. So, yeah, I'm with the rebels, absolutely. But back to the Senate Democrats, Bob Casey, a useless SOB if there ever was one. He's our incumbent leftist senator here in Pennsylvania. The reason he's in office is because his father was governor. He was maybe one of the last centrist Democrats before that breed went extinct. You can look up some court cases where Bob Casey Sr. was the last, he was the dodo bird, he was the last of his kind, who was a let me say it correctly, pro-life Democrat. He did not believe in abortion. He was pro-life. He was a Democrat. He was a Democrat governor. And then, well, that breed died out. And now the Democrats are all about pro-abortion. They love abortion. They want more abortion. They want to kill their babies better, faster, quicker, more efficiently. Bob Casey Jr. has never run in a competitive election cycle. He's always just lived off his daddy's name. But now he's got a real challenger on his hand in this Dave McCormick. He's got money. He's running ads. He's given Casey a good run for his money. Harris has her event. Where's Bob Casey? No Bob Casey. Where is he? I mean, this is the leader of your party, the head of your ticket. You should be up there and arm and, you know, dancing and doing whatever you do at these rallies and singing songs. He's not there. I think somebody said something to her and she goes, well, he's out doing what he needs to do to be reelected. Yeah, staying far away from you. So that says all you need to say right there. Bob Casey's starting to run ads here in Pennsylvania where he's talking about his willingness to compromise with President Trump. When Trump was in office, I approved of some things Trump did. What are you talking about? You're throwing your own team under the bus. So that tells you how badly Harris is doing, that these rats, these Democrat senator rats, are scurrying to save themselves and distancing themselves from the top of the ticket. So you know they're losing. And then lastly, this would have killed any Republican candidate and actually did temporarily kill Democrats years and years and years ago. Do you remember that Joe Biden ran for president in the 80s? And he didn't get too far because it was shown that he had ripped off speeches entirely and stuck them somewhere. I forget if it was he ripped off a speech or he took a speech and put it in his book or some damn thing. But it's called plagiarism. It's the hallmark of dishonest and lazy people. And it used to be disqualifying for politicians. Well, Harris has done this all over the place and it's coming out now. Again, hidden from you, no one wants to talk about it. Hidden from you because the media will do anything to get Harris to win. But it's not helping her. I mean, as this sort of thing bleeds into the somewhat the public view, drip by drip, it doesn't help her. Doesn't help her. So all this stuff is all good. All good. You have to vote. You have to vote. Vote as soon as possible. As soon as possible. We're winning, but we can't coast. We can't coast. You know, there's no telling what could happen tomorrow. I know they're trying to, you know, the Hitler thing. You know, they ran out some 30-year-old or 30-year-old story about Trump groping somebody. It's like, it's probably not going to work. It's like, that's the best you got? That's the best you got? You're losing. You will lose if that's the best you got. Now, the problem is that might not be the best they got. You know, they may have something else that's actually people might go, oh my God, I thought that Trump was Hitler, but I was still going to vote for him. But now I find out Trump, you know, whatever, roots for the Dallas Cowboys or, you know, has a photo of Liberace in his basement or whatever, something that, oh my God, I'm terror. You know, you never know what's going to move the needle with some people. I would think that Donald Trump has been lied about, prosecuted, slandered, persecuted, attempted to be killed, and there'd be nothing less they could do to hurt Donald Trump at this point, but you never know. That's why we got to keep going, keep going, keep going. We got them on the run. Let's bury these bastards. Bury them. We've got them on the run. And then we can take a breath and enjoy our free speech. I enjoy free speech. I want to keep it. You won't keep it under the Harris administration. You absolutely will not. They've pretty much come right out and said, first thing we're going to do is kill X. We're going to kill X because that is a bastion of free speech and we can't have that. So we got to win. I believe in free speech. I'm Eric Arnold. We'll talk again.